Very much, Osofu, and it's great to have you again after that long time. I get excited when people that I've encountered in the lecture room begin to take dominion over spaces and to do things, and so it's refreshing when you contacted me. We have stayed in touch after such a long time. And thank you for congratulating me. It's a heavy and very arduous task being the dean of the business school. So sometimes when you congratulate me, it's almost like you are celebrating the trouble that I have. But somebody must do the job. And one of the things that I consider as a key in our space is that people must rise up to the challenge and be part of solving problems rather than complaining about them. And so I have told myself that if I ever think that the business school deserves to be somewhere that we can pride ourselves with it, then we all must be prepared, as it were, to contribute to it. And so accepting to be the dean was on that basis. And when you talk about the issue of leadership, it's a major issue across the world. Oftentimes we say Africa is the one that has the biggest challenge with leadership, but it's a major issue across the world. Okay. The difficulty for Africa is that we appear to be vulnerable, and of course that's also a product of our leadership conundrum. But we are not the only ones who are bitten by, yes, exactly, by the negative vagaries of leadership. And so when you have recounted all of the challenges that we face as a people, and then you conclude that everything rises and falls with leadership, of course you are right. And the reason why you are right is that leadership in its simplest conception is to be able to influence a group of people to do things in the right way. In other words, there should be a certain goal that we all aspire to or hope to accomplish, and it becomes the role of leaders to be able to pedal the rest of us towards accomplishing that goal. So when we say it this way, then definitely your assertion that everything rises and falls with leadership is excellent. However, the context of leadership can be examined looking at three key elements: the leader, the follower, and the context. Now, when you do mathematical equations, we usually would say x plus y is equals to something. Now, what it means is that if you take x and you fidget with it, or you take y and you fidget with it, the outcome would not be what you expect. And it's the same way if you were to even go up there to the equal to and you fidget with it, then you are also not likely to get the x and y to be what you think they should be. What am I talking about? Leadership is not leadership unless there is followership. And followership and leadership cannot be taken out of the context within which leadership occurs. And so context is important, the followers are important, the leaders are important. Therefore, everything rises and falls with the leadership, with the followership, and with the context. What that means is that if, for example, you have an excellent leader, you uproot them and you drop them in a followership that is as difficult as you can imagine, you definitely aren't going to get any results. And the reverse is true, that if you have a good followership and you were to put them behind a leader who has no vision, who has no passion, who has no energy, who has no ethics, who has no all of the things that make leadership good, then those followers are also going to be led astray. And then if you take these two and they were everything excellent, but you subject them to a context that is difficult to operate within, then the outcomes are also going to be difficult. So yes, you are right, everything rises and falls with leadership, but within the African context, I have seen people relinquish their rights, people relinquish their commitment, people relinquish their part of the bargain. People will not even do what they are supposed to do. And you cited a couple of examples. For example, the example of sanitation. All right? We have seen in this country, people, excuse me, and I like to use it the way it is so that people would feel it. People shit in polythene bags, all right? And they drop them in gutters. People collect their garbage. They choke the drains. And then they say, yeah, President, you promised that you make Accra, the cleanest city. How is the president supposed to make Accra the cleanest city when every morning we collect garbage and you choke the gutters, when you yourself will refuse to put up a toilet facility, you will shit in a polythene bag, you will shit in a milk and Milo tin and cover it up and drop it in the street. You would destroy an environment. You would go out there and prospect for gold and destroy the water bodies. You are the one who will go looking for leaked exam questions to buy for your kids. You are the one who would go to the hospital and pay a bribe to get the good service. You are the one who would overtake somebody on the wrong path or the wrong direction. You are the one who would drive on the shoulder of the road and destroy the road. You are the one who would dig across the road and destroy the road. You are the one who has been given the contract and you would go and do a bad road. Then we will all resurface in the morning, clean our faces and say, oh, the president has messed us up. Sorry, we have messed ourselves up. So yes, everything rises and falls with leadership, but leadership is as strong as its followership. Leadership is as strong as the context within which it operates. If we all were to hold our leaders responsible, and not just that, but also hold ourselves responsible, then everything will rise and fall with leadership. I keep using an example when I teach my ethics students. I ask the question, cameraman, if the president were your father, would you be here doing this job? If the former president Mahama was your brother, would you not take advantage of opportunities that come? If, as I sit here, if President Obama or the Bank of Ghana governor or some other minister or some big person were my brother, my father, would I refuse to take advantage of those positions, to take advantage of the systems and feel good? Now, if I would not, or if I will take advantage of those, why would I complain against the president's son or daughter if they take advantage of the system? So in the end, we are very important as individuals and as a group in this leadership equation of whether or not everything rises and falls with leadership. I have seen, for example, graduate students who are studying for their master's degrees or PhDs, and then they come to me as dean and say, oh, dean, X and Y hasn't happened, or we have a challenge with X or Y lecturer, and I always tell them, have you challenged the lecturer? Have you raised the concerns? Have you complained? Have you notified the lecturer? And sometimes you would almost always hear no to all of these questions. And then I will put the next question. Do you want to put what you are talking about on paper for me? Because if I were to confront lecturer A now, that look, students say you have done X or Y wrongly, the lecturer would ask me for evidence. Yeah. So would you put what you are saying on paper? And then I will always assure them that look, I will not give you up. I will protect your identity. But at least I need to cover myself that I need to have evidence that there is indeed a challenge or a complaint from students, and for which reason I am trying to resolve this issue. But when you say that, almost always you will see the students are prepared to give up the fight. Why? Because they don't want to be seen to be the one complaining against, quote unquote, a bad lecturer. Now, even at the master's level and PhD level, if you can get our citizens to be that timid, to the extent that they fear that something bad will happen to them, you can imagine how my illiterate parents and brothers would be able to challenge a nurse in the hospital, or challenge a trotro driver, or a bookman, as we call them, in the transport terminal, or to even challenge a tax collector, or to challenge an assemblyman or a DCE, let alone a minister or a president. So you would find that this timidity has almost eaten into all of us, to the extent that we appear to be so vulnerable, even though we are the most powerful. And I always tell the students, I say, look, if you know what power you have, you will not allow lecturers to throw you around. Because if you make one good complaint, you can get a lecturer to be in trouble. If you make one good complaint about a policeman who is taking a bribe, you can get a person into trouble. If you make one good complaint about a medical doctor, about a nurse who is not teaching or doing his job well, if you make one good complaint about a district coordinating director or a chief executive in a company, you will see what trouble you can give that person. If you can make one good complaint, but all of us have relegated our agency. In other words, we appear not to know that we don't have, not to know that we have power. And by so doing, we have relinquished all our power to the authority or people in authority, and they take advantage of us. So I agree with you that this consciousness about whether or not we have a stake in the leadership outcome and how leaders eventually behave is something that we need to take seriously. And that's why I'm excited that for a program like what you are going on, we will be able to probably touch 1, 2, or 3 people to say that, look, as a citizen of the country, you have responsibility in correcting the wrong in society. And if we do not support it, then we can eventually, the Akans have a proverb. They say if it was being done to Kwaku, and you see and you pretend that you haven't seen, when they finish with Kwaku, they will come to you, Kwame. I am Kwame. I would definitely not want you to finish with Kwaku and come to me. So when I see you doing it to Kwaku, I would already help Kwaku to make sure that we can deal with you so you don't finish and come to me. It is also the case that oftentimes we are the ones who are asking for the trouble for others. So, for example, I am the dean of the business school. And if it is admission time, you will see all the people who know me and who are coming from the village, my village, or in my church, in my circles, my old schoolmates, and all of that. And they come to you and say, well, I know X or Y student, or this is my niece or my nephew. Would you get them in even when they don't meet the and I keep asking the question. When I came to Lagos, I didn't know anybody. In fact, it was my second time in Accra. I had come to Accra only once. And on the second occasion that I came to Accra, I was coming to Lagos to write entrance exam. I didn't know anybody. So then if the lecturers there had used the people they knew and had promoted who you know, who you don't, I wouldn't have gotten into the university. So I keep referring people to the fact that, look here, if I sit here and I do this, I will deny very excellent people the opportunity to get into the university. So the point is that, do we hold ourselves to the extent that we do not take opportunities that appear to be lucrative for us, and because we have access we take them? Do we hold ourselves to the same standards as we hold others to? So if I am here and you expect that your children can get into university based on their performance, then you should as well not ask me to take somebody who doesn't meet that performance just because you know me. Because if I do that, then I am preventing somebody else who has the performance to be able to enter. So yes, the all of us must campaign, and not only campaign that others act right, but campaign that we too would act right, so that we can have a system that is fair. Oftentimes when I go to the bank or go to other places where people queue, there's always the temptation, because you go there and I see you, I say, oh, then they say, oh sir, you have come, oh please come over so that we can treat you, so that you can go. And oftentimes when I look at the guilt of passing people who were there before I came, I always will tell me, okay, it's all right, don't worry, I will be in the queue so that I can take my turn. Why? Because if the next time somebody overtakes me, I will not be happy. Why do you want to overtake other people? So all of us have a responsibility in ensuring that we actually educate ourselves to that point where we will take our individual and shared responsibilities to contribute to who and how leadership outcomes become for us. When I finished University of Manchester, I was given a position. They said, oh, you know, if there are job openings if you want to stay. And I remember that my supervisor and two other colleagues came to me and said, called me and said, oh, Justice, if you stayed here in the UK, you can make a lot of impact and you can grow fast. There are a lot of opportunities. You can impact Africa and Ghana, you know. And I told my supervisor, no, Prof, I want to come home. And till date, when he sees me, that's why he first, when I call him, he asks, Justice, how is home? You know, apparently trying to get me back to that moment where I said that I want to come home. But and anytime I travel and I land, I'm coming back and I land in Kotoka Airport, I ask myself two important questions. Are you stupid or you have been cursed? Because as soon as you land in Kotoka, then you will see that, you made a mistake. Why did you come back? And so then that mistake, the question is it, are you stupid? Because can't you see that this is not a place to be? If you have opportunity to stay out there, why are you coming back here? Or is it that you have been cursed? Don't you know that when you come into this environment, it is tough? But I did one thing. I told myself that, look, throughout my education, I have benefited from the generosity of the Ghanaian people through the taxpayer. And so I have become a product of the generosity and the benevolence of the Ghanaian society. Then I get educated and I move out and stay abroad and with myself and my children. And then we start enjoying. And so I had this painful burden on me that you cannot live abroad. You have to come back home and make a contribution to that society that made sure that even though you came from a village, you got the opportunity to do a PhD in an Ivy League, in a Russell Group University. So I have this burden on me. So, but when you come back into the context, into the country, into the African region, and then you begin to look at how we have fixed problems. Look, and like you said, everywhere you go and you see Ghanaians, they are excelling. Go to NASA, go to wherever, go to all the big companies, go to the Silicon Valleys, go to all of the global banks, go to the World Bank. Ghanaians who everywhere, you know, they are excelling. In fact, even in cleaning, Ghanaians are excelling everywhere. Ghanaians obey rules. Ghanaians are very obedient everywhere they go. But when you come back, then, so that's where again the question, why are we a cursed people? Why? And all of that. And so sometimes I have questioned myself whether there is a certain thing wrong with the DNA of the Ghanaian and eventually also of the by extension of the African. Because I mean, and let's face it, I have seen Ghanaians in educational institutions abroad and they are excellent. You want them to be first, they are first. They are the ones that are trailblazing everything. They are, so Ghanaians are top notch everywhere you go. Then when you finish and you get back into this environment, your colleagues who you were topping, when they come to your environment, there's shit all around your house, everywhere. There's, you know, and so they ask you, Justice, what is this? When I used to take students abroad, they come to the University of Ghana. I take them across the country, and oftentimes they would ask you questions that make you look so stupid, and sometimes I've refused to answer or answer them in a sarcastic way just to defend myself from small children asking me difficult questions about the cycle of problems that we find ourselves in. So it is really difficult to answer. But where is the solution? Or where is the problem? The problem is that we are such a hypocritical society. Very, very hypocritical. That I am willing to see you and show you how dirty your shirt is, but let my shirt be as dirty as yours, or even more dirty or dirtier than your shirt, and I will say my shirt is cleanest. The things that I will criticize about one person, if it is me, I will defend it with all my energy. So that is why we have what we have. If I were taking a bottle of water to drink, anybody sitting there will say, hey, but you are corrupt, why are you drinking the bottle of water? But let it be their turn. They will drink and drink another bottle and another bottle and another bottle. Something happened in a church in the UK. It was Christmas, and these children, the church had brought these, they call them things like eggs. I think they are like eggs and they have toffees inside. So they brought them for the kids in the church. And they had come to put it in front of the church, and then they asked the children in the church to come and pick. Then a small boy and the sister, the sister was going to pick the egg, and the brother told her, pick one for yourself and pick one for me. So the little girl went to pick, and so she picked two. And by the time she got back to where the brother was, the brother had passed the other side to also go and pick one. So this small girl came back and didn't find the brother, and eventually found out that the brother had also gone to pick another one. So it made her look very dishonest, because now she had two eggs when everybody was asked to pick one, and she started weeping. And that is, so you see a certain bringing up that says that be honest. You go into a Western society where people don't go to church. There is a dispenser. They tell you put your coin inside and pick one drink. They will pick. If you go, there is newspaper. They say pick one. They will pick one. They will read and put it back, and all of that. Look, try that here. By the time you come, the stand that the thing is on. No. Let me give you the evidence of what I am talking about. Have you seen signboards along the streets in Accra and other places? If these signs are made of metal, people go in the night and saw them down and use the metal to go and sell. People go and remove coverings of culverts that are metallic in the night to go and sell. All right? So then you are asking yourself, you think that if this person had the opportunity to take 100 of something, they say he should take one, he will not? That is what we have, why we have gotten to where we are. Check the political terrain. Okay? You just need to change the players one to the other, and the song is changing. The actions are the same, and so we get into this that is in ethics is called the relative field argument. Oh, I stole one and you stole two, so you are thiefer than me, if there's anything like that, right? You are a worse thief than me because you took two and I took one. Why are you complaining? When you were there, you took 20. I've taken only 5, and then you are complaining. Why are you complaining? So then everybody then has justification for what they do. So people go and say, I am hungry. Therefore, why don't you allow me to sell whatever I want to sell? People say, I cannot feed my family. Therefore, why can't I go and destroy the forest and get what I have to get? And I keep using a weird example again. I say, this is my office. I am working on the street, so I won't do it in my office. I'm working on the street. I feel like shitting. So I should take off my shirts and shorts, squat on the middle of the road and shit just because I feel like shitting. And that's the argument people make. I am hungry, so why can't I destroy the environment and get gold? I don't have job. Why can't I sell anywhere? Put things on the middle of the road and sell. That is the kind of argument that I am stronger than you. Why can't I just beat you up and collect your camera and own it? This is the argument we make when we make those kind of that the system is tough. So that is where eventually leadership has failed. So if it is not me and my brothers who are benefiting now, then I'll complain. If we get in there and we can enjoy, then you cannot complain. So eventually, that is what has become our being. How do we deal with it? As I say, let's get every one of us, one, to be a critic of our brother, but even more importantly, to be a critic of ourselves and setting the standard on ourselves. Ask yourself the question, am I taking advantage of the system that somebody took advantage of that I was angry? If everybody does what I am doing now, in other words, the action that I'm taking now, if that was made the rule such that everybody could do it, would I be comfortable with that? If not, stay away. My usual response to that kind of question is to use myself as an example, and I keep telling people, if you don't grow that young man, the young woman, who knows the kind of momoy you want. You know momoy?
Yes.
Momoy is salted fish, the one that stinks, right? If you don't grow the next young man or young woman who knows the type of momoy you want, where it is sold, how much it is sold, and what have you, when you grow old, you will still go to the market yourself to go and look for it. Now, the meaning of that is that if we do not grow the next generation, then we would work till we die, because then there's no one to take whatever you have done forward. And one of the greatest pain in leadership is to toil for something and don't get somebody to harvest it or to take it forward. So what I tell my colleagues is that let all of us be able to grow ourselves into another person. And how I philosophize this is that when you are blessed and you grow tall, then it should not make it difficult for you to look down and pull people who are down up. After all, the person who is down would have difficulty pulling somebody up. But whoever is up has the height advantage to look down on the persons who is below and to pull them up. So I think that every one of us must be able to replicate themselves. After all, thieves are replicating themselves. So if you find yourself as a leader in an institution, in an organization, in a certain profession, and all of that, you are a huge failure if you cannot show year on year what or how many people you have brought up who would at the least perform at the level that you perform. Now, and I show you an example. So I was employed in Legon in 2008. My first TA has a PhD and he's teaching in this department. He's a senior lecturer now. There's another TA, Dr. James Mensah. He's here. He's a lecturer now. I have Tony in UPSA. Franklin has just returned with his PhD. Ibrahim is in Manchester. Zakaria is in Thailand. He's finished his PhD. Amma is in Hungary studying for his PhD. George left last year to go to Australia. Just this year, Peter has left to go to Australia. And those that are around about, who are not those who have worked directly with, so these are people who have worked with me and very close to me, but there are several others who are not around me, but who I have been able to mentor to go into. Why? I'm a teacher, so that's what I do best. So mentorship is such a critical thing. So when I engage people, for example, we have a program we call Clinical Leadership and Management, and you get a lot of medical doctors and nurses, health professionals generally coming. And one of the things I tell them is that we will be able to heal the rot in the health sector. We will be able to heal the rot in all the areas if every one of them who consider themselves as good would be able to raise just one more person to be like them. So if you, and I say, if you are somebody, you take bribe, you know that you take bribe, you do all of those things, note that there is this huge influence that if a young person works with you and you take bribe, that person has almost 100% chance of also taking a bribe. And studies have shown that leadership is so influential that the level of ethical disposition of the leader measures the level of ethical disposition of the entire organization. So as dean of the business school, if I start misbehaving, all the other people will look up to me and will behave like the way I'm behaving. You may get a handful who would defy, but largely leadership influences. And that is why it is important that, like you said, so I train as a teacher. So I tell people, being a teacher is not a bad job. You can be a teacher and be an excellent teacher, and you would, if you are a soldier man, a captain, a military, general. How many young people have you trained? Have you mentored? Have you, And don't get me wrong, this is a very tough process because the young people of today are counting their 1 million even before they get a job. So I have seen young people who come and you propose something for them to do that would build their capacity, and they're asking you how much money they will make out of it. I work for people, professors free to learn. But that which I did to learn is what I am actually benefiting from now. Look, a lot of the things, sometimes I get invitations to come and talk, and I just have to do a little polishing and tweaking things here and there because I have done it in the past and all of that. Unfortunately, young people have this penchant to make money even before they work, and that is the problem. But so when you are mentoring them, you would, in some cases, you also have to take on their responsibility. You have to make sure that you provide them with the finances and all of that. And many people run away from that. But reality is, and perhaps to this program, what I can say is that wherever you are, even if you are a bad person, the good that you have, try to impact that. Try to transmit the good that you have. Hide your bad from the young people who you work with. There are some people I call poisonous employees. Poisonous employees are people who are in organizations and they need only 1 hour of a new employee and they have succeeded in destroying that employee. So you get a new medical doctor who comes into the office today. Today is their first day. And then they meet this old medical doctor, and in 1 hour, this old medical doctor has succeeded in destroying this young medical doctor who had all the zeal in his life to come and impact life. There's a nurse who is almost going on retirement. A new young nurse comes, and in 1 hour, they have succeeded in destroying this new nurse. Oh, is that the job you have taken? Hey, as for you, when we are wanting to run away, you are coming. As for here, dear, nobody would appreciate you. And this job there is not good. In 1 hour, that young person who only needed somebody to push them up and encourage them to deliver excellence is destroyed. And I call those people poisonous employees. And if you are a leader in your organization, look for these characters and make sure that no new employee is exposed to because otherwise after 1 hour they have destroyed these new employees that you are hoping you can use to enhance your company. Poisonous employees will destroy. But so if you are a bad employee, make sure that you hide your poisonous part encourage young people, urge them on, psych them up to improve their performance, make them hungry to want to exude good and to render good. Make sure that you create in them a craving for giving back to society, in the way that if for any reason you yourself were to drop in front of them, you are a medical doctor, you drop in front of a young medical doctor, you can be sure that they will take care of you. But if you were to destroy them on day one, and they have abandoned their job, they are somewhere looking for, you would die. So that is what our society becomes if all of us decide to groom the next generation of people. I did a survey amongst students, and I can tell you that the generations that are in school now, in terms of corruption, are worse than the generation we are currently dealing with. And it is you and I who have this responsibility to make sure that we groom the next generation to be able to take care of our future. Otherwise, forget it. Young people will cut the meat at your back and sell it. People will kill you and take your body organs to go and sell so they can make money. People will sell your children. They would fire a bullet into your head in the night and take your car that you got away. If we don't correct the wrongs of this generation, you will not enjoy your old age. Africa is classified by researchers, cultural researchers, as a collectivist society. And the tenet of a collectivist society is that we appropriate and celebrate collectivism. In other words, the Ubuntu philosophy, I am because you are. So we value collectivism. And so common pool resources are resources that we typically would all protect. So historically, you were not supposed to go to the farm on a certain day. Yeah. The understanding is that if you did, you will call curses, and the curse doesn't come only on you, but on all of us. So we all hold ourselves to the rules of not to go to the farm or fishing on a certain day. And the reason is that we want to protect common pool resources. Unfortunately, if you look at corruption in Africa, it is difficult to appreciate why a collectivist society, which should be minded for the collective good of all of us, only a handful would collect what belongs to all of us, carry home and go and eat. So a couple of years ago, I did a public lecture on collectivism and the paradox of our society. When we say we are a collectivist society, when we are supposed to be protecting common pool resources, we are supposed to guard against things that belong to all of us so that no individual takes it. Then all of a sudden, when I take it and I bring it home, you are happy because you are my brother, you are going to enjoy. So what is wrong and what is right is now defined only in terms of the one who has taken it. So if I have taken it and I'm taking it to my home, then all of my people are celebrating it. And the accounts will say, and stuff like that. So there are significant historical things that we are giving away now. In those days, if you were acting like that, if you were taking something from the common pool resources, your society felt slighted and they say you were disgracing the family. So they would not allow you to go and steal from the common pool resources and bring home, because if you did that, you could attract dishonor to the family. Unfortunately, we have moved away from, and I'm not saying that it didn't exist in the past, because if you look at how Africa was partitioned, you will see that different ethnic groups were considered collective to that extent. So when the white put Ghana together as a country, there were the James, and then those stories that have come up recently about I am a Konkomba. I'm from Sabuba, the Konkombes, the Dagombes. My brothers from Nzema. So we were units that were separate on ourselves. Right. Then the white man puts all of us together and say Ghana, and we are supposed to see ourselves as a collective country. So when Black Star is playing, all of us are supporting Black Star. But when Black Star is not playing, and it is Kotoko and House and Folk, you see that the guys who support. You see, so as we go down, and don't get it wrong. When MPP and NDC are fighting, you see them as units. When they are finished the fight and they go, then you see in NDC there is a caucus, Northern caucus, the Western caucus, the whatever caucus. And when you go to the Volta caucus, in the Volta caucus, there is the Anglo caucus, there is the whatever caucus. When you go to the Anglo caucus, then you see all of that. So, whereas we are supposed to be identified as a collective, we are actually not collective. And that is what explains our desire to steal from the center, taking back to where we come from, and for all of us to be able to enjoy and to get. So that is what defines why our past have been better than, because the more we go, we are gradually getting disintegrated in the thing that held us together. That's true. And because of that, you will see that people are now willing, as it were, to destroy just for the interest of the section. So what can we do? I think that in many jurisdictions, one of our colleagues made a public presentation where he talked about creating myths. Okay, let's talk about the Ashantis. The Ashantis, there's a story about the golden stool. That's right. There's a story about the fact that the golden stool was chanted from the skies. I'm not sure whether or not this is really true, but every Ashanti believes it. And when it is about the golden stool, no Ashanti would dare. It's not negotiable. Not negotiable. Because there's a certain myth around it. You know, it was chanted from the sky. That is the soul of the Ashanti. Every Ashanti believes that they must bow to it. As a country, what do we have that really holds us that high? Okay. So our colleague, Professor Ajay, in the philosophy department, thinks that we must mystify some of our things that will hold us. So today, when we say, for example, that and that was what the old people did. You don't go to the farm. They say you will see a ghost. Exactly. And nobody there goes because you can see a ghost. Nobody knows whether it is true or not.
And eventually preserve the forest.
Exactly. So as a people, what are we creating? Even though those of us now who are living may say, oh, but this is not true. When we have died, those that didn't see where this was getting mystified will hold on to it. Something that will hold us together. Something that will ensure that, and all of that. And these myths then would create what I had described as religiosity in our system. See, so the fetish priest in the village, and this is not to invoke fetishism. Yes, no. But the fetish priest in the village, if he has to pronounce a judgment on their own son or relative because they did something, they will go ahead and do it, because when the fetish descends on them, they will pronounce it. So they will banish you, and when the spirit has left them, then they will come and cry over the fact that they banished their own son. Yeah. And why the son went to do something wrong. So I see this as something that as a people we can take up. So that if I were president and my brother goes to steal, I should be able to look my brother in the face and say, see, you have become the devil today. Therefore get behind me, you devil. I cannot cover you up. I am looking up to see the president look his minister or officer and say, hey, bro, because you have gone to do this thing which all of us say is bad, I'm sorry, I want to give you away. I cannot protect you. And if all of us will do that gradually, we will get to that point where people will know, oh, if I go and do something that offends my group, my identity, my ethnic group, my church will give me away. Therefore, I will hold myself. Otherwise, we are going to have difficulties getting people to do the wrong thing. To do the right things. So our society must gradually try to continue to inculcate. My children always get trouble because in the house, the rule is that if you do something wrong and daddy or mommy ask, please own up. And if you do, you don't get punished. You get advised. So something is broken and I get to my little girl, Precious. Ah, who broke this? Then everyone says, oh, it's not me, that is not me. That's, well, you know the rule in this house. So whoever did it, please, you need to own up, or else if I find out, you know what will happen. Then she'll come, oh, daddy, I'm sorry. I didn't intend to. Okay, then you get advised. They go to school, and then something happens in class, and she is the one responsible. The teacher asks, who did this? Then the teacher says, I did it. Then the teacher will kind of, boom, 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 why did you do it? So they get a crisis. So they come home, they want to be able to own up, but if they carry the same attitude to this class, they do something wrong and they own up, they get beaten. So the children suffer a tension between whether or not to lie and save their face or to speak the truth and get advice. And our society is under intense pressure to be able to put behaviors that are acceptable in the next generation of people. And we do that by ourselves, holding ourselves and making sure that we can have a conversation that develops a certain principle of bringing up the next generation, a certain socialization that brings up a certain generation to say that if you say the truth, you are a hero. And if you lie, it doesn't matter how smart your lie is, you are not a hero. And if we can do this, perhaps we can help to correct the situation as we go along. I am waiting to see our society go to a newly appointed leader and to say, congratulations, because we hope that you will be able to move the institution from one to the other. I have often heard, congratulations, now you are blessed where you are sitting now. In fact, chiefs have called their subjects who have been appointed to say congratulations, where you are now, our community is blessed. Pastors have called their church members who have gotten positions and have quoted scripture for such a time as this. It is for a purpose. Then they will link you to Esther and say Mordecai told Esther you have come to this point in a season like this for a reason, so that you can bring salvation to. So you will see the extent to which we have celebrated elevation because we think that now, it's our turn. And I have a book like that. It is our time to chop. Wow. All right. So you will see that, and there are many people who have gone to celebrate. When I got appointed as dean of the business school, for a couple of days, I could hardly sleep well. Even though I had written a vision statement, I had gone through the process, I had fought whatever I had to fight, attended the interview, and then I was hopeful that I will because I had prayed. And then then when I won, then the reality dawned on me this is the challenge that you are going to be confronted with. So for a number of days, I couldn't sleep. And because I've asked myself the question, so will I be able to move this school from one level to a better level or to a worse level? And many times you have seen, some leaders excited about it, but there are some also whose entire configuration is that Charlie, the thing done now. Or if you are telling me to chop, they will organize parties. They would already start, working with teams that would siphon national resources and all of that. And to be honest with you, there are very modest successes that we can celebrate. So you mentioned the issue of Nkrumah. Nkrumah was way ahead of his generation. Right. But even in our time, look, there are a number of people who have taken specific institutions and have moved them to another level. In the current dispensation, I am told, I haven't been to STC, but I'm told that some very good things are happening to STC because Nana Kumia went there and decided to confront the issue of making STC a national pride. So if I got District Chief Executive A, District Chief Executive B, Commissioner A, Commissioner B, Director A, Director B, Minister A, Minister B, Dean A, Vice Chancellor B, and all of us were moving, and creating these pockets of effectiveness, and we can show the little we are making to move the institution forward, and we are able to resist the pressure of appropriating the resources that is under our control to those who are near and dear to us. Then perhaps we'll be doing a little service to Mother Ghana. So maybe let me just look into the camera and speak to all of us who have been privileged to be in positions at this time, that, hey, you are here only for a while. Your name will stand. If you were to move it to another level, that will get celebrated. Note that if anybody stole in Nkrumah's era, if anybody stole in all the military eras, in the Rawlings era, in the Kufuor era, in the Mills era, in fact, if people stole and stole large, and I know people did, reality is that you can't actually find them now. Many people who bought houses can't even fix those houses now. People who came out with policies that benefited a lot of young people can look back today and smile, even if no one celebrates them. So, you have a choice between stealing state resources that are under your disposal through very crafty means and going off the scene and spending it and finishing it, and actually taking those resources and appropriating them for the benefit of the Ghanaian society. I try to do the latter. I want to encourage you, my brother, my sister, CEO, director, that we have a mandate as the people on the throne now to be able to leave a legacy so that generations that are yet to come will celebrate us. Those of us in the business school, we celebrate one professor called Professor Nkrumah. Professor Nkrumah was the person who was the director of the business school who introduced executive programs. Today, all the 83 lecturers that I have here and over 200 staff and over 60 part-timers that I have are blessed. The entire university is blessed because Nkrumah left something significant, which you and I are benefiting today. So would you want to leave something today that the rest of the generations will benefit? Or you want to build mansions in your village, 3-4 of them across Ghana, and you lie only in one, and you will die and be buried only in a 6 feet length of earth, nothing to go with you. If I were you, just like I crave and I urge myself and encourage myself to do, I want to leave a legacy. I want a business school which will be better than what I met. A business school that will respond to the needs of the generations that pass through here. A business school that will respond to the needs of my staff. A business school that will serve the purpose of the University of Ghana. And note that the University of Ghana is the premier university. So we are looking at a business school that will be a premier business school in a premier university in this excellent country of ours called the Gold Coast. We still have gold. Hello, you out there. My name is Professor Justice Bawole. I'm the Dean of the University of Ghana Business School. Oftentimes we have required people to do things that we haven't told them exactly what it is. We want people of excellence. We haven't told them what excellence is. It's the same thing with leadership. We have wanted excellent leadership, but we haven't really actually defined what excellent leadership is. This program by Pali promises to bring you all the nitty-gritties of what leadership is and to peel off all the layers and the complexities of leadership and to simplify it for your consumption. I can assure you that this program promises to bring you all the insightful tips on leadership and how, as a country, we are able to cook this issue of leadership and to get everyone to play their part, the leader, the follower, and for us to be able to culture and for us to be able to culture the context of leadership to the extent that all of us will be able to play our shared responsibility. And because this is a good program, I endorse this program for you, and I know that you won't regret spending your time watching it. Thank you.